Oshio, Iodazam. Welcome to the Red Road East. I'm your host, Fierce Truth Seeker. Alright, so this is part 7 of the Empire Strikes Black lineage of the Aboriginal movement. As you know, I had stopped putting out content because there's like 100-something views and hardly anyone was even giving a thumbs up. More people had unsubscribed, but I did gain some new subscribers though. I mean, no sweat out of my pocket. The channel's not monetized anyway, but at the same time, I'm not gonna rush to put out content if nobody's interested, you know, or even have the courtesy to give a thumbs up, let me know that hey, some people care about the information. So anyway, I'm gonna try to stick with the time. I'm gonna keep this at half an hour. Let me see. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna pick up where we left off. I'll start off by actually first looking at some comments. We did have some idiots in the comments section, some haters. But also, as you know, when they leave comments, I always shut them down quick, fast, because they can't deal with the information. They can't mess with me with this here, because they're talking about stuff that, they were not even around when this stuff was going down. So, I don't worry about that. Because I don't just talk, I show you the documentation. So let's see here. Yeah, so some of those people, I shut them down. Haven't heard anything back from them. They make these comments, and all I hear is crickets. Because they can't answer my questions. They can't present any information to back up their claims. So let's see here what we got. Okay, this comment is from 9 Ether Unkapukau. Some shit this Negro just made up. He says, brother, y'all must stop claiming everything and affixing all Aboriginal movements to your Moorish doctrine. Once y'all overstand that point, we may be able to get somewhere in this paradigm shift. If not, those that come behind you will have the same issues we have now amongst the ancient ones. There was a very diverse assortment of Aboriginal nations occupying this great land, including but not limited to Moors. Some of us who are not Moors, do share an Amaru Hukata common cause with y'all and respect our intertwined history without writing y'all out of history, as do the Moors and colonizers write us out and lay claim to ancient Amika through Maya. I know the day will come when egos are murdered and Altuyahi, you would say moral or more Allah, will be restored upon us all. I would love to be here in the flesh to see it with you, my brethren. I am Unkapuka. Okay, so I responded. See, he don't know what the hell he's talking about. All right. See, I can tell just by what somebody says out of their mouth, I can already tell how much research a person has under their belt. You see what I'm saying? Just by what they say out of their mouth. And I could tell, pretty much how long they've been studying, and this guy, he's a Johnny come 50 years lately. You know what I'm saying? And he's throwing out a bunch of stuff that he don't know what in the hell he's talking about. 9 Ether Unkapukau, some shit he made up, And I said, the problem with you is that you are throwing out a bunch of nation/terms and shit that you know nothing about. You don't know a damn thing about the Amaru. You don't know a damn thing about Aboriginal oustery, or our story, oustery. Everything that you have said above is bullshit. I have 3 questions for you. 1, how long have you been studying? 2, where were the new Aboriginals in the 90s? 3, have you watched part 1 through 6 of this series? If you are bold enough to answer these questions in a timely manner, I will address you properly. If you do not reply, then your comment is moot. Okay? Now, of course, he replied back. He says, you're a fucking idiot. Off with your fez, fucking dick. See? They get emotional when you bring that heat to them. You see what I'm saying? I asked him 3 questions, which he couldn't answer, because he knew once he answered those questions, I had him in checkmate. All right, I already had him in check with those questions. See, I play chess, so I had him in check with those questions. After he answers those questions, it was mate. See what I'm saying? Took him a while to answer. I heard nothing but crickets for a while. And it's still crickets because he didn't answer the question. All I hear is crickets. 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 See what I'm saying? That's what they do. They start name calling, you know, and going all off topic. See, because he can't answer those questions. Because once he answers them, I got it. Okay? So, again, it's talking a bunch of BS, you know. Another scalp I got under my cap. You see what I'm saying? Shut him down. Next. And of course, I'm not going to read what I said when I replied to him. It's not that nice. So. Let's see. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with it. Because, see, he can't answer that. He wasn't even around in the 90s. Not only that, but he knows they have no literature in the 90s. All the people that were saying that they were Indians and stuff like that were claiming to be runaway African slaves that mixed in with the Indians. Okay? And again, let me put this out there too. I have nothing against Africans. Okay? Because again, it is a fact that there were Malian Moors who came over here and mixed in with us. Okay? So, you know, I have nothing against Africans. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, that is a fact. You know, they came, they mixed in with us, and many of us have that ancestry. Okay? There's no denying that. All right? But we were already here. You know, it was just one group of melanated people coming and mixing with another group of melanated people. Okay? So, and if anybody wants to debate that, we can debate that too. You know, and I guarantee you, you will not win that argument. Anyway, see, I can prove what I'm saying. Let's get into it. Let me show you what them Negroes are saying. You know, again, I have nothing against Africans. What I have, the issue is that we've been forced to accept a narrative that we were all brought here to the Americas as slaves in a slave ship, packed in like sardines on a long slave ship, and nobody's talking about how those prisoners of war were fed, where was the water kept, how'd you store all of that water, you know, and food, you know, where were they gonna do their number ones and number twos not on each other? That's a security risk, that's a investment risk, you know what I'm saying, health risk, you know, and first and foremost, it's a business. So if you have a business, you don't want your merchandise getting ruined, because then you can't make money. So that is the problem that and when I say we, I'm talking about the real Aborigines, not, you know, these fools in the comment section who just jumped on the bandwagon yesterday. I'm talking about those who've been repping this for like years, for like decades, you know what I'm saying, with the original narrative. You know, what we say is that the problem is that we've been given a false narrative that we were all brought here as slaves on a slave ship from Africa. No, we were already here. We were Aboriginal here. Okay? That's the reality of the matter. And we have the genealogy to prove it. We have the oral history from our family to prove it, many of us. Okay? So I want to put that out there too. Don't lump me with, you know, people who are anti-African. You know, that's not my narrative. You know, I'm anti the narrative that the colonizers had forced on us to accept. Okay? That's what we're anti. But the brothers and sisters over on the continent are our cousins. All right, so we're already 10 minutes in. I want to stick to the time. So we left off looking at the literature that these people who call themselves Black Indians, who these, we have the present day Aboriginal movement. And again, this is not referring to everybody who calls themselves an American Aborigine today, the new Aborigines of today, the millennials. You know, this is not an attack on everybody. I'm attacking the idiots who come in my comment section. You see what I'm saying? So I had to create this series in order to set the record straight, because this shit is getting out of hand, you know, and you got a lot of people who have been given a false. Now, I don't blame the millennials, because it's the elders that they follow who is really to blame, you know, who have taken the Moorish oral history and ran with it so that they could profit and make money. Okay? And as we go further in the series, we're going to deal with that. All right? Show you how all this got switched up. Ain't nobody talking about that. All right? So, we left off talking about the Black Seminoles, the book by Kenneth Porter. And we already went into that in part 6. This is part 7. So you want to hear about that, you got to go and listen to part 6. We're going to move forward with the next slides. Okay. We already proved that we're looking at the literature that you choke-wearing Negroes were putting out back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Okay. And I'm proving to y'all that y'all got your information from the Moors. That's why these cats are in my comment section getting mad, okay, because I exposed all of that. That's why a lot of people are unsubscribing, because I exposed your religion, okay? That always happens, you know. This whole Aboriginal thing has become a religion. You see what I'm saying? And anytime you break up somebody's religious dogma, their beliefs, you know, they start to cry out, you know, they start to lash out and call names and all that kind of stuff. Right? I'm going to give you this work. Right? So, moving on. Okay? Let's look at it. I'm giving you the timeline. Okay? What year is this? Right here, if y'all can see it on the screen. 2006. As you can see, no offense to anybody here that's in the picture. I'm just giving you what the narrative was. American, this is 2006, right? American, red and black. Stories of Afro-Native identity. Okay, these are YouTube clips. All right. American, red and black. They're making a distinction, okay, between red and you Aborigines, who at that time were calling yourselves Black Indians, African runaway slaves. Okay, American, red meaning Mongoloid, and black, stories of Afro-Native meaning African Native identity. By Alicia Woods, 2006. This intimate film follows 6 Afro Native Americans. Okay, right? So I'm just giving you what it was, with the narrative, because again, the 90s, the early 2000s, the only ones who were saying that we were aboriginal to the land and no, we were not African runaway slaves for the most part, were the Moors. And that you Aborigines came and stole our story. Don't get mad at me because you wanted to talk trash in my comment section and I straighten you out. Okay? Don't get mad. You know. Here's another one. It's another story here. Okay? African American and Native American Histories in the Deep South. Full title: Slavery, Civilization, and Sovereignty. African American and Native American Histories in the Deep South. Okay? Here's another one here. Here's another one here. Another YouTube clip. Oh, that one there in the middle that I just got finished reading, that was 4 years ago. All right? And here's another one. 6 years ago, Black Indians Heritage feature. Okay? All right. So, that's what it was. You know, let's call it what it is. All right. Next slide. Okay, here's a popular documentary back in the days, all right? People were looking at back in the 90s, all right? Rick Heat Films, Black Indians, and American Story, narrated by James Earl Jones. To build the future, you must know the past. But what if the past has been hidden, lost, or denied? Circle of Life series, okay? And this is, let's take a look at what they were saying. Let's look at the back of the documentary, and the description of what the documentary is about. Okay, it says, read with me. This presentation brings to light a forgotten part of America's past, the cultural and racial fusion of Native and African Americans. The film explores what brought Native Americans and African Americans together, what drove them apart, and the challenges they face today. From the Atlantic seaboard to the Western Plains, family memories and historical highlights reveal the indelible mark of this unique ancestry and its continuing influence. Narrator James Earl Jones. Directed by Chip Ritchie, 2000, copyright year 2000. Okay, this was the year 2000 when this came out. Okay, year 2000. All right. Don't get mad at me. This is what you guys were teaching. Y'all don't want to hear what the Moors were saying. Y'all said the Moors were crazy. Y'all talking about slavery. The slave trade is a myth. We weren't all brought here in chains, packed in like sardines. Y'all are crazy. So you can't tell me, because I had to debate with y'all. So I know. See, that's why none of you fools who make those comments like that 9 Ether clown, you know, you can't debate me, because I'm what you call a primary source. Okay, I was right there when all this was going down. So you can't debate with me. You feel me? You can't debate with me because I was there. You know, I'm not talking about what I read in a book or what I Googled. Okay? I'm telling you from someone who was on the scene. You idiot. 9 Ether. Unga bunga. Fucking clown. Nine Ether Uka Puka. Ooga Booga, whatever the hell his name is. Negroes just making up names. How did you get your name, fool? Answer that. Once you answer that, I got you in check too. Got something for your monkey ass. All right, here's another book that was around back in the days. Okay? A lot of y'all don't even know about this book. All right? And this one is even more detailed than the book Black Indians by William Lauren Katz. Okay? As a matter of fact, got it right here. See, I got the physical copies. Okay? When I wasn't no Google searches. When I first started doing this, wasn't no internet, fool. All right? All you know is Google. You had to pick up a damn book and read. All you do is do a little quick Google search and you look at a little highlight and you don't read the book. You just go by what somebody else said. You take a little bite and then all of a sudden you were a damn professor or something. You know what I'm saying? You a clown. I know I'm getting angry again. I have a right to be angry. I know people in the comment section say I'm too hard. Get too angry. Yes, I have a right to be angry. When fools like that come in my comment section and just say nonsense. All right? So yeah, here's my physical copy of the book. And you see this book is all, you can see I done been all in this book, you know. See the dog ears and, you know, dog ears, the highlights and all that, you know. You see what I'm saying? Been all through it, you know. So this book is called Confounding the Color Line. Okay, Confounding the Color Line. Subtitled The Indian Black Experience in North America. Edited by James F. Brooks. Okay? The Indian Black Experience. It's making a distinction. The Indians and the blacks. Okay? It's not saying that you're Aboriginal. Okay? Because that was the perspective of all you Negroes running around here in buckskin and stuff back in those days. Okay? It was only us Moors who were around saying, no, we did not all come here that way. Matter of fact, we were Aboriginal to this land for the most part. And less than 5% of those that came over in the so-called slave trade, less than 5% came to North America. Only Moors were saying that. Okay? Only Moors. You know? Again, talking about as a collective, as a group, as people putting out literature. Okay? You always had a few individuals here and there, you know, who had some oral history. But they were far and far, very far and few. Okay? Far and few. We're talking about movements and people who put out literature, you know, that you could put your hands on, you know. Now let's look at the contents. Okay. Now we're looking at the contents, the table of contents. Part 1, forging relations. Intimacy and Empire. Indian African Interaction in Spanish Colonial New Mexico. Indian Aboriginal. Indian Aboriginal. Indian Aboriginal. No, Indian African. Okay? As long as you try to play Indian and saying that you're not Moors, okay, this is always the relationship that you're going to have. Okay? Because it's always going to be something. See, it's like when you steal something from somebody, okay, there's always going to be something missing. Okay? When you try to plagiarize. Okay? And you're trying so hard to say that you're not Moors. And that's why you will always be an underling in this whole Indian thing. As long as you try to do that. Okay? Because you don't have the whole story. Okay? You don't have the whole story. At some point, and I'm talking about as a collective, there'll always be a few that'll slip between the cracks. Okay? I'm not talking about the few that can slip between the cracks. I'm talking about the majority. Okay? The majority of you will not be successful in your quest. Guaranteed. Okay? People like that 9 ether clown. Okay? You will always be second class. Guaranteed. Okay? It's not about what a few who can slip through the cracks can do. It's about what the collective can do. All right? Okay, chapter 2. The English has now a mind to make slaves of them all. Creeks, Seminoles, and the problem of slavery. Chapter 3. Colored seamen in the New England whaling industry. An Afro-Indian consortium. See? Afro-Indian. See? You'll always, as long as you try to hide and, deny your Moorish connection, you'll always be a hyphenated Indian. Okay? Hyphenated. Okay? Because these people are not ignorant of who you are. So when you don't come correct, they're always going to try to play you. All right? 4. Strategy as lived. Mixed communities in the age of new nations. Part 2. The legacy of slavery. Uncle Tom was an Indian, tracing the red in black slavery. 8. Wait, let me see. No, 8. 6. Born and raised among these people, I don't want to know any other. Slaves, acculturation in 19th century Indian territory. 7. African and Cherokee by choice. Race and resistance under legalized segregation. Aboriginal and Cherokee by choice? Aboriginal and Cherokee by choice? Aboriginal and Cherokee by choice? No, African and Cherokee by choice. 8. Blood politics, racial classification, and Cherokee national identity. The trials and tribulations of the Cherokee freedmen. Okay? So I tried to tell one of these Aborigines that when you're going with the Dawes rolls and all this stuff, the darker melanated people were reclassified as freedmen, as being Cherokees by citizenship, but not by blood. Okay? She didn't want to hear that, but talk is cheap. So I'm showing you the documentation to prove otherwise. It's not about what one or two people can do. We're talking about on the whole. So talk is cheap. Show and prove. So, and when you read this book here, they'll tell you otherwise. And this is coming from the mouth of the freedman. All right? So I ain't just talking, you know. I've been doing this way too long, you know, before any of y'all was out here doing this. All right? So, part 3. Complicating identities. Blood and culture. Negotiating race in 20th century Native New England. 10. A most secret identity. Native American assimilation and identity resistance in African America. Okay? You know, I don't like to talk again, man. You know, you know, it ain't about, see, when you try your best not to be a more and this, that, and the other, you know, that's what, see, a lot of y'all don't even know what Noble Drew Ali brought. You know what I'm saying? That's why you're coming up short, you know. Noble Drew Ali was Cherokee. But did you see him trying to push that? Okay. There's a reason. All right. And it's not a, you know, talk is cheap. Y'all heard, and shout out to the good brother Kalinago, you know, but y'all heard the phone call. If y'all saw that video, y'all heard the phone call that he made to Cherokee Nation. It just validated my whole point. Okay. And he made the phone call. You know, he was saying, you know, Aboriginal to the land, this, that, and the other. And, you know, Cherokee Nation wasn't trying to hear that. They were like, nah. You know, you guys are African runaways that mixed in with the natives. Okay, bottom line. All right. That's what they told him. And that's how they see it. Don't tell me I got the literature here. I got the literature right here. All right. From various sources. And I got letters from Cherokee Nation. And the words from Cherokee Nation's mouth, too. All right. You know, I mean, this is common sense. You know. This is not to throw shade, but this is just to set the record straight, you know. "11. Making Christianity Sing: The Origins and Experience of Lumbee Indian and African American Church Music. Estrangements. Native American mascots and Indian-Black relations." Okay, that's the contents. This is the literature that you know, these, you know, Black Indians were putting out back then, you know. This is the back of the book. Okay, "Confounding the Color Line" is an essential interdisciplinary introduction to the myriad relationships forged for centuries between Indians and Blacks in North America. Since the days of slavery, the lives and destinies of Indians and Blacks have been intertwined, thrown together through circumstance, institutional design, or personal choice. Cultural sharing and intermarriage resulted in complex identities for some members of Indian and Black communities today. Didn't say Indians are Black or Indians are Aboriginal. They're making a distinction. When you have that "and," it makes a distinction. The contributions makes a separation. The contributions to this volume examine the origins, history, various manifestations, and long-term consequences of different connections that have been established between Indians and Blacks, Indians and Aborigines, Indians and Aborigines? Indians and Aborigines? No. Indians and blacks. Stimulating examples of a range of relations are offered, including the challenges faced by Cherokee freedmen, the lives of Afro-Indian whalers in New England, and the ways in which Indians and Africans, Indians and Aboriginals, Indians and Aboriginals, Indians and Aboriginals, no, Indians and Africans, interacted in Spanish colonial New Mexico. Special attention is given to slavery in its continuing legacy both in the Old South and in Indian Territory. The intricate nature of modern Indian-Black relations is showcased through discussions of the ties between Black athletes and Indian mascots, the complex identities of Indians in southern New England, the problem of Indian identity within the African American community, and the way in which today's Lumbee Indians have creatively engaged with African American church music. At once informative and provocative, Confounding the Color Line shares valuable light on a pivotal and not well understood relationship between the communities of color, with which together and separately have affected, sometimes profoundly, the course of American history. All right, James F. Brooks is an assistant professor of history at the University of California, Santa Barbara. He is the author of Captives and Cousins, Slavery, Kinship, and Community in the Southwest Borderlands. All right? Okay? Let's look at some more. All right? Since y'all don't want to believe me, oh man, this right here. And see, I have a lot of this stuff. See this right here? This is Jet Magazine. October 7th, 2002. Black Seminoles in Oklahoma fight for equal rights in tribe. Okay, so I have a lot of this stuff on old VHS tapes from early 2000s and 90s and stuff, you know. So nobody can't tell me nothing, because you can't tell me anything, because I have archives of information, you know, coming right from the source. Coming right from the source. It don't get no better than that. Coming right from the source. Okay? Bring it to you right from the source. All right, so it says here, a civil war of sorts is brewing in the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. One that pits brother against brother. I don't know if y'all can see the font, you know. But you can, you know, maybe go online. I don't know. I don't even know if Jet Magazine is still in print. But this is from Jet Magazine, October 7th, 2002. All right. Brother against brother and sister against sister in a blood tie. In a battle over blood rights. On one side are the Blood Seminoles, tribe members who can trace their ancestry to Native people. On the other side are the Black Seminoles, descendants of African slaves who escaped plantations in the 1700s and joined bands of Native American refugees to form the Seminole community of Florida. Okay, so I mean, this is clear cut right here, clear, dry, to the point. You know, I mean, you know, it's right there in your face. Okay, they're making a distinction. Black Seminoles, they said African slaves, Aboriginal slaves. Aboriginal slaves? Aboriginal slaves? No. Descendants of Black Seminoles, descendants of African slaves who escaped the plantations in the 1700s. Okay? They make it quite clear, very clear. All right? On one side are the Blood Seminoles. They're talking about the Mongoloids. Okay? Some of these new Aborigines want to debate me on that. But well, okay, here it is right in your face. Okay, they say blood similar. They're talking about you tracing your relationship, your ancestry to a Mongoloid, not someone melanated. Okay, and in the middle is the U.S. government, which is trying to settle the controversy whether black Seminoles are entitled to the same rights as their blood Seminole brethren, namely the right to sit on the tribal council, the right to vote in tribal elections, and the right to share in the $42 million Congress allotted the tribe in the early 1990s as compensation for forcing them to leave Florida in the 1800s and relocate to Oklahoma. And this man here, this is Wilbert Cujo, 78 at the time. This is in 2002, 78. Talks about his black Seminole heritage as he sits next to a photo of his ancestors in Oklahoma City. 2 years ago, the Seminole Tribal Council, that's so hard to read, decides that Cujo and other black Seminoles who don't have enough native blood cannot consider themselves Seminoles. Okay? Here it is right in your face. All right? Not much arguing you can do with that. We were just like brothers and sisters until this little money came up, said 78-year-old Wilbert Cujo, a member of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma and descendant of African slaves. Aboriginal slaves? Aboriginal slaves? Aboriginal slaves? No. African slaves. Okay? This is across the board. Okay, I didn't just start doing this yesterday, man. I've been doing this like 30 years now, bro. Sis, whoever, you can't come to me with that foolishness. All right? And again, I'm not coming down on anybody, but, it's about giving the truth to our people. Okay, and not leading anyone astray. Right? When somebody tells me that I'm wrong and I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to address it. Okay? No, I know what I'm talking about. 2 years ago, the Tribal Council decided that Cujo and 1,500 other black Seminoles who cannot trace at least 1/4 of their ancestry to Native people may not sit on the Tribal Council. And those without at least 1/8 Native blood cannot vote in tribal elections or share in the $42 million in reparations. The council then challenged the tribal constitution to reflect the decision between black and blood tribe members. Although a tribe has the power to decide membership, that power is limited by its treaties with the United States and an 1866 treaty between the Seminoles and the U.S. made black Seminoles full tribe members. Also, a tribe's constitution cannot be changed without federal approval, and thus far, the U.S. government has refused to approve the amendments that rescind the rights of black Seminoles. In response, the Seminole Nation filed suit against the government, then proceeded with a new election for tribal positions, allowing only blood Seminoles to vote. Although Ken Chambers, a half-blood Seminole, was elected chief, the Bureau of Indian Affairs still recognizes former Chief Jerry Haney and is withholding the compensation money from the tribe. Federal officials declined comment on the situation, citing pending litigation. I gotta make this bigger, man. It's hard to see. I gotta make this a little bigger. Ooh. In May, tensions came to a head among Black and Blood Seminoles when a standoff between two chiefs led to fistfights among their supporters. Chief Chambers insists that when blacks fled to Florida to escape white slave masters, the Seminoles took them in. The Aborigines took them in? The Aborigines took them in? The Aborigines took them in? No, the Seminoles, meaning Mongoloids, took them in. But that the two cultures never truly mixed. Okay, and this is another thing I want to get into because, see, it's people like myself and others who paved the way for you Aborigines of today, because at one time, and reading that line just brought this back to my memory, at one time, they didn't even want to admit the false narrative that y'all were the products of African runaway slaves and Indians. They didn't even want to admit that. They said, no, there was no mixing between blacks and Indians or Africans and Indians. Okay? They didn't even want to acknowledge that. You see what I'm saying? Back in the days, Indians who were brown caught hell. Okay? As you can see right here. Okay? And he said, so imagine me. I'm here, you know, all regaliated up and all that. And I'm saying, forget all of that. We Aboriginal. So imagine what an alien I look like, you know, and the Moors look like, you know. See? It's history that y'all don't even know. Okay? How many of y'all millennials knew that? All right? But we kept on their ass, boy. We kept on their ass, man. You know, constantly, you know, tearing it down, you know. I come with my, so y'all don't even know, man. I come with, I come everywhere I went, you know. I had my document, I had books. I go to powwows with books, you know. I come with pictures, you know what I mean? All this stuff that, you know, y'all see with, you know, the YouTube clips of, you know, pictures of Aborigines, you know, old Indians next to contemporaries and stuff. I was doing that long before any of these cats. You know what I mean? I come to powwows like that, you know. Shoot, I'd be on the comment section just tearing people up, you know, tearing these Mongoloids up. And I'd be the only one in the comment section, you know, tearing these people up because all of y'all were coming from this, you know, Black Indians perspective. See, I'm not just talking. I'm making this up. I'd be tearing people up in various comment sections on various YouTube channels back in the days, talking about in the early 2000s. I'd be tearing people up, tearing them up, you know. And it got me and other people, you know what I'm saying? And it got so bad, you know, it's just, they had, at a certain point, they had to at least admit that the hybrid Indians mixed in with runaway slaves. They had to at least give you that. You know what I'm saying? They had to at least give you that. Because, you know, we were just coming down on these people so hard. You know, I was tearing the Mongoloids up. You know, in the comment section. Tearing them up. Okay? Crickets! I'm talking about crickets, man. You have no idea. You know? But they had to finally admit. See, nowadays, it's common knowledge that there was a mixture between, even though this is you know, a half truth too. But I'm saying now they generally accept the narrative that Mongoloid Indians or hybrid Indians mixed in with blacks or runaway slaves. Okay, runaway African slaves, as they say. You know. you know. But they now that's common knowledge, and that's due to all the pressure that was put on all the information that kept coming out. You know, I had mad videos out back in the days, man, like with big old boards. One day I'll come and I'll show you the boards. You know, you can't even find those YouTube clips up anymore. You know what I'm saying? I had boards with, just showing all kind of pictures. You know, I had the largest archive of Indian pictures showing the Aborigines looking like us, man. I had the largest archive at one time, man. You know what I'm saying? These were the pioneer days. You know what I'm saying? The pioneer days. Now there's like thousands of pictures out, but I was like the forerunner of that. Yeah. Talking about having like a large library, large archive of those pictures. Yeah. Everybody used to come to me for those pictures. Facts. Anyway, let's go on. Where were we? Okay, so it says here. Yeah. So and this is proof of what I'm saying. So it says here, when blacks fled to Florida to escape white slave masters, the Seminoles took them in. But that the two cultures never truly mixed. Blacks never had equal rights within the tribe, Chambers claims, and aren't entitled to them now. So it says blacks never had equal rights within the tribe, Chambers claims, and aren't entitled to them now. Here's Chambers right here, this hybrid, mongoloid hybrid, fake Seminole, okay? And here says elected Seminole chief, Ken Chambers, a half-blood Seminole, really is more mixed than that, discusses the dispute during a July interview in the Seminole Tribal Administration building in Wewoka, Oklahoma. The chief insists that black Seminoles never had equal rights in the tribes and still aren't entitled to them. All right? But Cujo tells a different story. They are forgetting their history, he said. Their past is intertwined with the blacks. Unlike other tribes, the Seminoles were a motley group of Native American refugees, members of different tribes who escaped white invaders by fleeing into the Florida swamps in the mid-1700s. Soon, escaped slaves from plantations in South Carolina and Georgia joined them, and together they built communities in the swamps and evolved into the Seminoles. In fact, anthropologists say the name Seminole derives from the Spanish word cimarron, which means runaway. Cujo says his great-grandfather, who he believes was brought to America on a slave ship from West Africa. On a slave ship from the Caribbean? On a slave ship from the South? On a slave ship from the North? On a slave ship from Central America? No. On a slave ship from West Africa. He believes. Okay? Again, don't shoot the messenger. Okay? I'm just giving you Aborigines your literature. What you were putting out back in those days. Okay? Who he believes was brought on a slave ship from West Africa, was sold to a rice plantation, then escaped to Florida and joined the Seminoles in the late 1700s. Cujo's grandfather, Whitty, is said to have lived to 116 on the Seminole County grassland the government gave him. His ancestor may have been black, but he was very much a Seminole, Cujo says. He spoke the native language of Muskogee, ate Native American dishes, and passed on the creed of the Black Seminoles to his grandchildren. Ironically, two of Cudjo's brothers sat on the tribal council before their deaths. I'm of the Seminole tribe, Cudjo said. I don't care what nobody says. All right? So, on that note, it's been well over half an hour. All right? I really wanted to get through some more slides. I got a lot more. Let's see. Got a lot more. All right, I'm going to cheat here. I'm gonna go to the next slide. All right. Let's look at this here. Let us look at this here. See, I don't like to talk. I like to show and prove. I don't like to just talk. So, let's get in here and show and prove.
Good afternoon. I am attorney Demario Solomon Simmons. That's DAMARIOSolomon-SIMMONS. And along with my co-counsel who are here from my firm, which is David Riggs and Chris Kepsel, who you will also hear from. We are excited and honored to have this opportunity to represent these so-called Creek freedmen in our quest. And I say our quest because I'm designated as a Creek freedman myself, erroneously, our quest for citizenship, full citizenship within the Creek Nation. I'm proud to stand here with our clients, some of our named clients. We have Rhonda Grayson, we have Sharon Lindsay, we have Jeff Kennedy, who are named clients and are also board members of the organization that we represent, the Muskogee Creek Indian Freedmen Band. We have a couple other named clients who are not here today, not here yet, Johnny Mae Austin, and we have a minor child who we cannot mention her name. This is an historic day, a fantastic day. We're excited to be here. It's been a long road for so many people who've been fighting this fight. And I just want to tell you a little bit first about who are the so-called Creek freedmen. The Creek Nation in the old country in the southeastern United States of America was a confederacy of nations and tribes and people. And within that confederacy included people that you would consider to be black or Creeks of African descent. In the 1830s, when we were removed from...
Stop. Okay? Of African descent. Don't need to go any further than that. Let's right at the horse's mouth. Because, you know, in Aborigine, it said that, you know, that I didn't know what I was talking about. I was wrong. That when I said that the Creek, that the when I said that the freedmen are considered to be not to be by blood, but by citizenship. Okay, you don't want to believe me, so you know it's coming from the horse's mouth. You know, don't you know? You can't argue with that. That's coming directly from the horse's mouth. Okay, so anyway, there's more, but I'm gonna end on that note. There's a whole lot more. All right. Anyway, until the next time, do da da, ba ha eat.